Hello friends, welcome to the home learning platform of Hebron. Today it's our second video of economics, and in the last video we have started unit 3 demand. As we have discussed in the previous video that there are two market forces, one that is demand and another that is supply. In unit 3 from the chapter demand, we have started with meaning of demand, factors affecting demand, and then demand function. This much we have discussed in the previous video. So in today's video, we are going to start with law of demand, a very important question, not from the viewpoint of your examination, but from the viewpoint of your subject, law of demand. And the whole question is divided into subparts. Like, first of all, we'll understand what is law of demand. That is a definition given by Professor Alfred Marshall. Then its assumptions, then the schedule, figure, analysis, and exceptions. So, one, law itself, number 2, assumption, number 3, schedule, number 4, figure, number 5, analysis, number 6, exceptions. In total 6 parts we have divided the whole question. Let us start. Let us link the present question with the previous question. In the question number 1 we have seen that there are many factors affecting demand. But the most influencing factor is price. That is, in the question number 1, we have seen factors in two parts, A and B. The A was price. And in that question, we have seen there is inverse relationship between the price and the demand. There is inverse relationship between the price and the demand. That understanding, that concept, will keep it in our mind and we'll start with the today's question. So law of demand. Law of demand is what? Actually, it explains the relationship between the price and demand. The inverse relationship between the price and demand. In this question, it will be more clear that there is cause and effect relationship between price and demand. Means price is the cause, price is the reason, price is the influencing factor, and the outcome, the effect is demand. The effect can be seen on demand. So now let me start with the law itself that is given by Professor Alfred Marshall. You can see on the board that law of demand is written. When other factors affecting demand remains constant, when other factors influencing demand remains constant, they remains unchanged. If price falls, demand expands, and if price rises, then demand contracts. It is as easy as it was seen in the question number 1 that there exists an inverse relationship between the price and the demand of a commodity. So see what we have learned. When other factors affecting demand remains unchanged means these other factors remains unchanged. Unchanged means whatever factors we have seen in question number 1, apart from price, except price, whatever other factors we have seen, we have to assume that all those factors remains unchanged. Means there is no change in those factors. And if price of a commodity, price of a particular good falls, its demand expands. And when price of a good rises, that is price of a good increases, demand contracts. Once again, according to Professor Alfred Marshall, when other factors affecting demand remains same, when other factors affecting demand remains unchanged, if price falls, demand expands, and if price rises, demand contracts. Means there exists an inverse relationship, indirect relationship between price and the demand. Now, to prove that the given law of demand is right, we need to assume certain things. We need to assume certain factors. Like in assumptions, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 assumptions. And these assumptions we have to study to prove that this given law of demand is right, because it is a conditional law. It is a conditional law. Other factors are to be kept constant, means no change in those factors. And as we all know, factors are changing. So when we assume that factors remains unchanged, which means assumptions are meant to be wrong. Assumptions are meant to be wrong. Means whatever we are assuming, practically it is not possible. Practically it is not possible. The very first assumption is taste and preference. Taste and preference remains constant. Now in examination also, you are not supposed to explain these assumptions. These are to be written in one sentence only, that taste and preference of the consumer remains constant. But why I am explaining to you, the reason behind that is, whenever we need to remember certain things, the precondition, the prerequisite is, it must be understandable. It must be understandable. That is, अगर समझ में आएगा तो याद रहेगा. तो let us understand taste and preference. As we have discussed in the factors affecting demand, that taste and the preference of the consumer continuously changes. But to prove this law of demand right, to accept this law of demand is 100% right, we have to assume that the taste and preference of the consumer remains constant. Actually, this is not possible, but still we have to assume, because these are the assumptions. We have to assume that the taste and the preference of consumer remains constant. Same way, number 2, income of consumer remains constant. Again, this is not possible, because the income of your father before 10 years, the income of your father before 5 years, and the income of your father at present and the income of your father after 5 years, it won't be same. It is not same as he was getting before 10 years. It is not same as he was getting before 5 years, and it won't be same after 5 years what he is getting right now. So when it comes to income of a consumer, we have to assume that income of a consumer remains constant, means there is no change in the income. Because if income changes, then this law of demand may not be proved 100% right. So we have to assume that income of a consumer remains constant. There is no change in the income. Number 3, price of a related goods. Now we have seen that there are 2 types of related goods. One is substitute goods and another one is complementary goods. Substitute goods means one commodity can be used in place of another commodity. That is substitute goods. And complementary goods means when one commodity is to be used along with the other commodity. Means in case of substitute goods, either of the commodity is to be used, either A or B. And in case of complementary goods, you have to use A and B together. A and B. Substitute में A or B. So when I am talking about commodity A, I cannot say that the price of commodity B will remain constant, but to prove this law of demand, we have to assume that price of the related goods also remain constant. Price of related goods remain constant means there is no change in the price of substitute goods, there is no change in the price of related goods. Number 4, no anticipation of future prices. In the last video, we have taken an example of price of gold. That yes, there are anticipation of the gold that at what rate it will be sold in future. And for each and every commodity, there is anticipation in the market that a particular commodity in future will be traded at a lower rate, that a particular commodity in a future will be traded at a higher rate. So we change our demand in accordance with the anticipation of price in future, that is anticipation of a goods. If in future car price, I mean prices of the car, there is a fall in price, expectation is to have a fall in price. So what we'll do? The demand of car will reduce as of now and will make the demand of a car in future, will purchase the car in future. So yes, future prices, anticipation for the future prices affects the demand. But here we have to assume that no anticipation of future prices. There are no anticipation of future prices means there is no estimation, there are no expectation regarding the future prices. Now, number 5, size of population. Again, the size of population remain constant. The size of population remains constant. Now the population of India, 23 crore, 36 crore, 51 crore, 84 crore, 102 crore, 121 crore, 127 crore, 132 crore, 137 crore, 140 crore. It changes. On an average, annually 2% population growth is there, 2% on an average. But here, to prove the law of demand, we have to assume that size of population remains constant, means population does not change. The population before 10 years, the population at present, and the population in the upcoming year, it will remain same. Again, this is not possible, but yes, these are the assumptions. And keep it in mind, assumptions are meant to be wrong. Assumptions are meant to be wrong. If I say, suppose this is a board, this is not an assumption, it's a board. Yes, I am writing on that. So it's a board. So this is not an assumption. But when I say, suppose this is a Taj Mahal, this is not a Taj Mahal. So it's an assumption. It is an assumption. We have to assume what is not possible. We have to assume what is not present, what is not available. So what we have assumed till now, taste and the preference remains constant, income of a consumer remains constant, price of a related goods remain constant, no anticipation of future prices. Number 5, size of population also remains constant. Now, to prove this law of demand, we have to undertake a study of a schedule. That is an example. So, what was our law of demand? Price falls, demand expands, and price rises, demand contracts. So, same example, I mean the same law of demand, I am going to represent it with the help of a schedule. See, let me take here price of a commodity, and price is to be denoted in rupees. Then demand of a commodity, let us assume that we are talking about demand of a tea, demand of a cup of tea. Now, when the price of a commodity, say for an example, was 5, then it increased to 10, then it increased to 15, then it increased to 20, and then it became 25. Means price of a commodity continuously rises 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Against that, when the price of a commodity, that is tea, was rupees 5, a demand was 100, and when price increased to 10, demand reduced to 80, then price increases, demand reduced to 60, demand reduced to 40, and demand reduced to 20. So can you all see there is an inverse relationship? Increase, 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 decrease, 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 decrease. So let us cross check. Price falls, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Demand expands, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Now another one. Price of a good rises, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Price rises. Demand contracts, that is 100, 80, 60, 40, 20. But this is possible only when other factors affecting demand remains unchanged. Means, by considering this assumption, if we study this schedule, then we can say that yes, there is inverse relationship between price and demand. Let us present the same schedule in the figure. So price and demand, here this is on y-axis, it is x-axis. On x-axis, let us denote demand, and demand is always presented in units, and price of a particular commodity, it is to be denoted in rupees, so unit will be rupees. So on x-axis we have taken demand, on y-axis we have taken price. Now price and demand, inverse relationship, this funda must be clear in our mind. So inverse relationship and law of demand has always a negative slope. Law of demand has always a negative slope, and the reason is, with increase in price, demand contracts. With increase in price, demand contracts. So let it be, this is our demand line or demand curve. Now when price of the commodity is 25, that is price is maximum, the quantity demanded is 20. Quantity demanded is 20. When the price reduced to 20, from 25 price reduced to 20, so demand expands from 20 to 40. Demand expands from 20 to 40. So total how many combinations we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So first, second we have done. This is the third combination. Let it be the fourth combination and the fifth combination. Now price, let me record 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Demand 20, 40, 60, 80 and 100. Now, let us give the name to the combinations. That is, this combination as A, this combination as B, this one as C, this one as D, and this one as E. Now, at point A, when price of a commodity is 25, its demand is 20. Price 25, demand 20. At point B, price falls to 20, demand expands to 40. At point C, price further reduced to 15 and demand further expands to 60. At point D, price further reduced to 10, demand further expands to 80. And at point E, the price of a commodity is minimum, that is rupees 5, and the demand of a commodity is maximum, that is 100. That is 100. So, here the law of demand can be explained with the help of a schedule. It can be also explained with the help of a figure, and D dash being the demand line, or you can denote it as demand curve. So, whether you analyze it from A to E or E to A, when I say from point A to point E, means price reduces, demand expands. And from point E to A, so price rises and demand contracts. So the same law of demand with the help of schedule and with the help of figure. So this is a descriptive manner, this is a tabular manner, and this is a graphical manner. The same law of demand we can describe like this, we can present with the help of a table like this, and when it comes to representation of a data with the help of a figure, it can be done in this way. Now students, analysis. And general analysis can be like, in the above figure we have presented demand and prices on x and y axis. Then when price was that, demand was that. When price is this, demand is that. But in law of demand, we are not supposed to write that easy analysis. Now the analysis will be on the basis of income effect and substitution effect. Income effect and substitution effect. So let us understand. Number one, income effect. In economics, there are two types of income. One is monetary income, another one is real income. Monetary income means the income which your parents earn. Monetary income means an amount which an individual get. And real income means purchasing power of that monetary income. Purchasing power of that monetary income. बिल्कुल easy language में अगर इसको explain करना हो तो it can be explained like, if your income is 30,000, then it is your monetary income. And if out of 30,000 you spend 20,000, then that 20,000 is your real income. Once again, if your income is 30,000, that is your monetary income. If you spend 20,000 out of that 30,000, then that 20,000 is your real income. Your monetary income represents your capacity of earning, and your real income represents your capacity of spending, means what amount you can spend. So now, income effect we have to study from that viewpoint only, that when income of an individual remains constant, Suppose there is no change in income of an individual, income of a consumer, that is assumption number 2. Income of consumer remains constant. Suppose there is no change in income. Your father was getting 30,000 a month. Now also he is getting a 30,000 a month. But previously, the commodity which was available at rupees 10, now there is fall in price. The same commodity is available at rupees 7. 7 means the commodity has become relatively cheaper. Previously it was available at rupees 10 and now it is available at rupees 7, means with the same amount on hand, your parents can purchase more units of the same commodity. More units of the same commodity. For example, you were making a purchase of 10 units of Parle Gold biscuit and one Parle Gold biscuit cost you rupees 10. Cost you rupees 10. So 10 into 10, 100 rupees you used to spend. Now suppose, assume that your income is steady, there is no change in income. But the Parle Gold's price from 10, it reduced to 5. It reduced to 5, so there is fall in price. So with the same 100 rupees, now you can buy 20 units of Parle Gold. Previously your purchase was for 10 units. For 10 units, this is a income effect. That when your income is stable, there is no change in income, means your monetary income is constant. And there is fall in the price of a commodity, means the commodity has become relatively cheaper, means with the same amount on hand, you can buy more number of units, means demand expands. Demand expands. The same we have seen here, because here also all the factors we have assumed as constant. So income of a consumer is also one of the factors that we have assumed constant. So income effect can be explained by keeping this number 2 in our mind. Next is number 2, substitution effect. Substitution effect. Suppose there are two commodities in a market, commodity A, commodity B. A commodity can be used in place of B, B can be used in place of A. Means either you have to buy commodity A or you have to buy commodity B. Suppose you were buying commodity A, means you were a consumer, you were a customer of commodity A. But suddenly the price of commodity B falls. Price of commodity B falls. So what you will do? As there is reduction in the price of commodity B, you will switch over your demand from commodity A to commodity B, because both are substitute goods. You can make the use of A in place of B, you can make the use of B in place of A. So when there is reduction in the price of the concerned goods, the person who was making the use of a substitute product, he will buy more number of units of concerned goods. It's very easy. Substitution effect means there are two substitute commodity. When there is reduction in the price of concerned goods, its demand rises. Means the demand for substitute good will contract. This is substitution effect. So analysis of a figure can be done by this 2 point. Number 1 is income effect, number 2 is substitution effect. The last part of our question is exceptions. Exceptions means those situations or circumstances where law of demand is not applicable. So what was law of demand? According to Professor Alfred Marshall, when other factors affecting demand remains unchanged, price falls, demand expands, price rises, demand contracts. This law of demand is not applicable to this 4 points. Number 1, prestigious goods. Now, prestigious goods means those goods which are very expensive, highly priced goods. For example, luxurious cars, jewelry, diamond, expensive cell phones. These all are the goods which are demanded by the rich people. Ordinary person is not making a demand of such luxurious items. And when the price of such luxurious items rises, its demand does not contract. The reason is such commodities are purchased for the status symbol. Such commodities are purchased for the status symbol. So when the price of such commodity rises, its demand expands. In place of contraction, there is expansion of demand. Because as you purchase expensive product, your status in the society, your class in the society also rises. At the same time, if the price of such expensive goods starts reducing, the rich man will think that the reputation of a company has gone down and that is the reason they have made reduction in the price. So he won't make purchase. So we can conclude that law of demand is not applicable for luxurious commodity, because luxurious commodities are used by rich people and rich people are not concerned with the price of the luxurious goods. See, if iPhone company is going to present a next model in the market and if that model is quite expensive than the previous one, the rich people will sure purchase that product. But if the company will come with some economic range of mobile phones, rich man won't purchase it. They feel that the reputation of the company has gone down. So law of demand is not applicable to the prestigious goods. Number 2, extremely low priced goods. Now, extremely low priced means those goods which play a very small role in your total consumption expenditure. For example, matchstick, for example, salt, for example, pin, stapler pin, U pin. Now, matchstick. The price of a 1 unit of matchstick box is rupees 1. Hardly in your house, you are making the use of 2 or 3 units of matchstick box in a month, where your total consumption expenditure is 30,000, 40,000 per month, and the amount that you spend for the purchase of such low price goods is rupees 2 or 3. So when the price increases from 3 to 6, means 1 rupee में जो matchstick box available था, suppose now it is available at the rate of 2, so it won't affect the demand. It won't affect the demand. Same way, if the price of the matchbox fall to 50 paisa from rupees 1, we won't make the increase in demand. We won't make any increase in demand. That means extremely low priced goods, for the extremely low priced goods like matchstick, salt, pin, law of demand is not applicable. A simple example. Suppose a pouch of salt is available at rupees 10 and suddenly its price has increased from 10 to 20. Namak, salt, we are talking about Mithu, from 10 to 20. Is it possible that your mom or sister, those who prepare food for you, they will make the consumption of the salt at a 50%? That as the price of the salt has increased, હવે જમવામાં મીઠું ઓછું નાખવાનું? Not possible. Same way, if the price of salt reduced from 10 to 5, it was 10, now it is 5. Is it possible your mom or your sister will make the use of salt at a 200% what they were making in past? No. यानी कि आपके फूड में your mom or your sister won't increase the quantity of salt to be consumed. These are very low priced goods. Number 3, giffen goods. Now giffen goods means inferior goods. So there must be question in your mind, sir, if giffen goods are inferior goods, तो फिर उनको direct inferior goods क्यों नहीं बोलते? Because the concept of the inferior goods was given by Professor Robert Giffen. The concept was given by Professor Robert Giffen. So to acknowledge him, to appreciate him, the concept of inferior goods is named Giffen goods. Now Giffen goods means those goods whose quality is very poor, which are inferior in nature. So when the price of such inferior goods decreases, we are not making the purchase of those goods. When the price of the inferior goods decreases, we are not making the purchase of such inferior goods as the quality is not acceptable to the customer. And those who are making the use of inferior goods due to their extreme level of poverty, for them, if the price of inferior good rises, still they do not have any other option. So the demand again won't change. Number 4, and the last, special preference. Even you or me, or we all, we have some strong preference for some brand, for some companies. Like one in the market, they prefer textile brand as Raymond only. Some prefer Peter England only. Some prefer JetBlue only. Even if you ask them, even if you show them that the same commodity is available at the lower rate, but the brand is different, they don't compromise with the brand. Like majority of the population is making the use of Wagh Bakri tea. Even if in the market there are many tea brands available, those who are selling the tea at a lower rate than the Wagh Bakri, still we are not making the consumption of other products because brand matters. Brand matters. So students, let us conclude the question. The question is divided into 6 parts. Number 1, law of demand given by Alfred Marshall. Then it's assumption. These assumptions are meant to be wrong. Schedule, price rise, demand contract, price falls, demand expands. Same can be explained with the help of a figure. The figure is to be analyzed on the basis of 2 points, income effect and substitution effect. And the last is exceptions. So, we'll continue with the next question in the next video. Thank you.